Herkese merhaba arkadaşlar. Welcome everyone. Hoş geldiniz. Nasılsınız? How are you guys? It is so great to see all of you being ready in the lesson, even before it started. Yes, I saw you, Jay. I'm good, thank you. And seeing this crowd waiting for the lesson, there are so many people today. That is so great. Okay, evet. Bugün ders ne hakkında olacak? Onu önce söyleyeyim. Bugün Türkçe'de fiilimsiler diye bir konu var. O konu hakkında konuşacağız. Okay, today's topic is what we call fiilimsiler in Turkish. Exactly. And they are all they have a few different names depending on your source, depending on your grammar book. Sometimes they could be called verbal nouns or infinitives or even gerunds. But all these names aside, I will try to explain this concept. I will try to keep it beginner friendly. Even if you're a beginner, you should still be able to follow what we are saying here. Most of the examples have translations for you to understand the meaning. But let's start. Başlayalım. So first things first. Öncelikle şundan bahsetmek istiyorum. We have a few more suffixes for this verbal noun or fiilimsi thing, but I wanted to focus on these two as the beginning. Like in the beginning, we will talk about these two. Önce bu ikisinden bahsedeceğiz. Bu iki ek hakkında konuşacağız. Peki verbal nouns nedir? What are verbal nouns? As you might notice from the theme of the cover page earlier, they are verbal nouns. I mean, they are verbs, actions, but they act like nouns. They change forms. And these two suffixes allow us to use them in position of a subject, object, or in relation with postpositions. Normally, we can't do that with verbs. Verbs can only go in the predicate position. They have to be conjugated. But when you use these two suffixes, you kind of transform these words into nouns. And this helps us to use them as nouns. So what are these suffixes? Peki bu ekler nedir? Öncelikle mak ile başlıyoruz. As you can see, it uses two-way vowel harmony, mak and mek. It is the common infinitive marker. And what is the infinitive marker? In the most simple words, it is the dictionary form. Like the default form. It is used in a dictionary. And you can use it when you refer to verbs, when you refer to an action. Most of the time, sometimes you can still use them with suffixes, like inflectional suffixes, the noun case endings, for example. But sometimes you can also use them without suffixes because they can be used as the subject. You can see the examples here. Like sigara içmek yasaktır. This is like a public sign. Smoking is forbidden. The personless sentences or the to be sentences, or more like sentences with imek, the copula thing. The tır is not always needed, but since this is a public announcement, public sign, we use it at the end. So sigara içmek yasaktır. Normally, when you use içmek or sigara içmek to smoke, you put the inflectional suffixes. So you put the tense markers, for example, sigara içiyorum or sigara içeceğim. But this time, we only add this mek and it becomes the subject. So like, what is forbidden? Yasak olan ne? Smoking. Sigara içmek. It returns answer for this question. What is forbidden? When you ask this question to the verb or to the predicate, the answer is your subject. Yasak olan ne? What is it that is forbidden? Sigara içmek. And next example, Türkçe öğrenmek çok kolay. It is another personless sentence or copula sentence, to be sentence. This time I didn't need the der ending. I don't have to make it public or I don't have to make it formal. I dropped the der. Türkçe öğrenmek çok kolay. So like, what is it that is easy? Kolay means easy or very easy. Çok means very. What is it that is very easy? Türkçe öğrenmek. It gives me this answer. Learning Turkish is very easy. And so far, they came before the predicate or they came at the end. Sorry, at the beginning. But it can also come at the end. You can also put it in the end of the sentence. Benim tek amacım seninle konuşmak. So again, this is a copula sentence. This is again used with like is in English. My only goal is talking to you. This time, benim tek amacım is the subject. But what is it? What is my goal? It is talking to you. Seninle konuşmak. You can also use the mak or the verbal noun in the predicate position, like the conclusion of the sentence. And when you give examples to your hobbies or when you talk about what you do in your free time, you can also use this mak suffix. Hobilerim, kitap okumak, film izlemek. I know these are boring hobbies, but yeah, you can use the mek when you talk about these actions, like when you what things you do. If you say I do this, I do that. Boş yapmak, I don't know, like spor yapmak, or whatever hobbies you have. Yazı yazmak, writing, kitap okumak, reading. Okay, so yes, this is how mak is used. It is used in to-be sentences as the subject. Sometimes it can still be used as the object, but there are a few complications. Birkaç karışık şey var. We will talk about the details in a bit. And let's meet the other suffix. Şimdi diğer suffix, diğer ek ile tanışalım. Ma eki. Ma eki nedir? İkisi birbirine çok benziyor. They look very, very much the same, but they are completely different. The ma is in the best or the simplest way is when you talk about a different person. I will explain what I mean, but it is used with suffixes, and to be specific, it is used with possessive suffixes. Technically, it's called, I saw this in a book, it's called the light infinitive marker. So we use it with personal suffixes, as you can see the examples here. It also has a function of making modifiers, making adjectives. Examples will be at the end. So, benim gitmem gerek. My going is needed is how we say I need to go. So, if you break this into suffixes, benim means my, git means as the bare form, as the root to go, and me is the suffix that allows me to use gitmek in this position. And m is referring to benim. Benim gitmem gerek. I need to go, or my going is needed. I only added these parentheses to show you the actual suffixes, actual formation. But of course, when we say benim gitmem gerek, it sounds as natural as I need to go. Or gitmemi istedi. Gitmemi istedi. Now maybe you see the difference a little bit more, like a little bit clearer. İstemek is to want. He wanted, or it could also be to ask. He asked. Benim gitmemi istedi. He asked me to leave. This time there are two actions, two verbs. To ask and to leave. The ask is connected to he. To leave is connected to me. He asked me to leave. When this happens, we use the ma suffix. I will explain the details. I will show more examples. Just showing you how ma is also used in position of an object and with personal endings and noun case endings, like accusative here, dative here, ablative here. Benim gitmemden korkuyor. He is scared of my going. As in, he is scared of the fact that I might go. So, let's see the details of each of these suffixes and each of their functions. Şimdi bu ekleri görelim. Bu eklerin detaylarını görelim. So, bu dictionary form, yani sözlük eki. Sözlükte fiiller bu ek ile gösterilir. Diğer dillerde de aynı böyle. In other languages, it works the same. Each language has their suffix to form the infinitive to default form. Like in Turkish, we have gelmek. In English, they have to come. In German, they have kommen. And in the other languages, you can see all the suffixes to form their dictionary form, or the most correct term, their infinitive form. Okay, so mak is our infinitive for Turkish. Gelmek, to come. Yapmak, to do. İçmek, to drink. Uyumak, to sleep. I took these screenshots to show you that, like, when you go to this link or this link, you can see the definitions for this verb, gelmek, to come, and the definitions like ulaşmak, to arrive, to come to bring, to visit. Or when you translate from gelmek from Turkish to English, gelmek, to come, turn up, to pretend. There could be other examples depending on the context. So yes, now let's finally talk about some useful stuff. When we talk about someone or something, we use them as the subject of the sentence. In this slide, I wanted to make it easy for other people in case they don't know what a nominal sentence is, like what a copula is, what a to be is. But I will compare the two types of sentences. So like nominal sentences is when you describe or define something. Like when you say, this is boring. This movie is boring. And a verbal sentence is when you do something or when something happens. Film izlemek beni mutlu ediyor. Ben film izliyorum. So I will slow down a little bit and break this down into suffixes or explain how they are formed. Bu film çok sıkıcı. I used a noun. This movie. The subject is a noun. And in the next part, in the next table, I replace the subject with a verbal noun. Instead of saying this movie, bu film, I am saying watching this movie is very boring. Now I am talking about watching itself instead about the movie. And in a verbal sentence, when you use a verb in your predicate, ben film izliyorum. So I am watching a movie. The subject is I, ben. Ben film izliyorum. But what if I replace this subject with a verbal noun? Film izlemek beni mutlu ediyor. I had to change the sentence a little bit. I had to adjust the rest of the sentence. Film izlemek, subject, like watching a movie, makes me happy. This time, ben is the object and the verb is mutlu etmek, to make happy. And what is it that makes me happy? Film izlemek. Beni mutlu eden ne? Film izlemek. Okay, so this is how you can use them as a noun, as a subject in two types of sentences. You can use them as a subject in nominal sentences with to be, like with copula, or with other verbs. So now let's fill in these blanks. Let's fill in these tables. You can type your own sentences. You can try making a sentence with mek or mak. If you have an idea, if you have an imaginary example in your mind, how would you use mek or mak in a sentence? Şimdi sizin örneklerinizi alabilirim. Nasıl mak veya mek kullanabiliriz? Any sentence that you can think of with mak, mek as the subject. Sumia, your sentence is not correct. I will explain why in a bit. But simply you used çay içmek as the object. There's a ben seviyorum. But I want to use çay içmek as the subject. Like in the beginning. Yes, there's a little difference. When we move to the next slide, you will see the difference a bit more clearer. Türkçe okumak o kadar zor değil. If you say so, eğer öyle düşünüyorsan. Bu çağda kadın olmak geçmiş çağlardan daha iyi. Correct? Bravo. Now, kadın olmak, like to be a woman, is the subject, and we are comparing this to the other form. Türkiye'de çay içmek çok popüler. Türkiye'de çay içmek çok popüler. Doğru. Çay içmek çok popüler. It is very popular to drink tea. Popüler olan ne? Çay içmek. Türkiye'de çay içmek. What is it that is popular? Çay içmek. Egzersiz yapmayı sağlıklı olmak için çok iyi. Doğru değil. Evet, hatanı görebilirsin. You can see your mistake. Doğru değil. Okay, and I will be writing this. So it goes here. Türkiye'de çay içmek çok popüler. Or bu çağda kadın olmak. Wait, what was the rest of it? Oh, okay. Geçmiş çağlardan daha iyi. Okay, Jasmine. Your example is correct, but it doesn't fit in here because you used it with için, like with a postposition. It is now in the position of an object. I mean, it is correct, technically correct, and perfectly natural. But I can't write it in this. I can't write it in this table. Like maybe you can say sağlıklı olmak is something something. Okay, how about a verbal sentence? Like, can you try saying, like, doing this makes me happy, or doing this makes me sad? Do you have an idea? Like, coming here is fun. No, not is. Makes me happy. Or like, reading makes me feel relaxed. Kitap okumak beni mutlu eder. No need for plural, but I will accept it and write it here. Kitap okumak beni mutlu eder. Bilgisayar kullanmak bana keyif veriyor is how you can say it. You can also say bilgisayar kullanmaktan keyif alıyorum, but it's not a subject in that case. I need subjects. Bilgisayar kullanmak bana keyif veriyor. Using computers or using a computer gives me pleasure. Okay, I will actually merge the others here. These are only like examples how to show how a subject is like a pronoun is the subject here, but a verbal noun is the subject here. So I will just merge them. Okay. Tamam. I think we got enough examples. We still have so much to see. This was only like an introduction to the concept. Now let's see how this is used as an object. Now the examples you tried earlier, will also be accepted. But there are a few things I need to talk about or I need to show you. Önce birkaç göstermem gereken bir şey var. Mesela max suffix'i yani bu fiilimsiyi object yani nesne olarak kullanabiliriz. Ama o zaman when you use an object in a sentence, you will need the noun case endings like all this nominative, accusative stuff. You can still do so. You can use mak, but when you do that, you will need to add the noun cases. The object noun is just an example. Like if there's a film as an object, and when I change this to a verbal noun, instead of saying film, now I am saying film izlemek. This is now my indefinite direct object. And when I say seviyorum, ben film izleme, there's something here. I will explain it in a bit. But I just want you to pay attention to adding these noun cases depending on your verb. Sevmek uses accusative, başlamak uses dative, ısrar etmek uses locative, like insisting on. Keyif almak, to take pleasure, uses ablative, to take pleasure from watching movies. And about this ke, what is this ke? If you're not a complete beginner, you probably know the consonant softening. This is what happens here. The accusative and dative endings, they have the vowels as their subject, so as their suffix. But when this happens, you need to soften this ke. And instead of saying ben film izlemeye başladım, you have to say ben film izlemeye başladım. But the buts are never ending. There's always a but. It's not even soft G. This is unlike technical or normal case. But with this mak suffix, we replace the soft G with this Y. So it becomes ben film izlemeye başladım. Because saying this is not that easy, at least for me. But you can still encounter it in old books or people from some regions of Turkey. It is not completely non-existent. This is basically the softening, like the K turning into soft G, but it is replaced with the Y. So, to be honest, I also learned this recently. I always used to think this is just the Y buffer, but it is actually the mak suffix. It's not the ma suffix. They look exactly the same. And that's the confusion. That's why people confuse them, including me, actually. So when I say film izlemeye başladım, it is not izlemeye. The Y is not a buffer. It doesn't go like this. That's not how it works. How it works is actually this. Yes, even in our old lessons, I called them a buffer, but that's not the best way to explain it. That's not the best way to learn it, because if you learn it as a buffer, there will be exceptions. I used to just label them as exceptions, like when your verb is istemek, or when ablative. It is not actually an exception with ablative. It is actually still the mek suffix. So there's no exception. It is more like how it works. Just the K is turning into Y. Okay, I mean, there could still be a Y as a buffer, but in a certain condition. Yeah, I also learned it recently while doing some research. Like if you call this y as a buffer, and if I say me is used as an object, but what about istemek? What about ablative? I called them an exception, but they were never an exception. Ablative or istemek, they still use the mek. They all use the same suffix. And this is actually the reason why some people still say izlemeye başladım or yapmaya gidiyorum. Like there's a famous Turkish scientist, Celal Şengör. He is kind of an old guy, old person. I mean, he's in 70s. Like he says yapmaya gidiyoruz or yapmaya, gitmeye. And I heard this from people from the, I don't know, from some cities, like from Çanakkale, for example. People from Çanakkale, especially local people, they also say yapma or gitmeye. They don't replace the soft G. They just soften it and leave it. In the standard or modern way, we replace it instead of softening it. Okay, so instead of calling the other things as an exception, let's just accept the mak is used even as an object, but when you use them with noun cases, with accusative and dative, we use the replacement. Okay? So, yeah, this was also a reveal for me. But now let's talk about the other more complications. The y can still be a buffer in this context, in this case. Wait, like a smaller. So we can use the ma. This time it is not the short or the replacement of mak. It is an actual light infinitive. It is a different suffix. And when do we use it? Yes, just saying film izlemek başladım is wrong. Because film izlemek is now object, and every object needs an ending. I will go back to show this nominative case. Maybe sometimes with like istemek, for example, sometimes the verb may not need it. The verb may be nominative. So ben film izlemek istiyorum. But you can't say that with other verbs. Başlamak is a dative verb. So film izlemeye başladım. Okay, so going back here. So ma is used as a smaller clause, like smaller unit in the sentence, and it is often, actually I think always, used with genitive and possessive suffixes. Like the difference between yapmaya gidiyorum or yapmamı is when a different person is involved. I want to just point this full sentence. Sen benim gitmemi istiyorsun. İstemek, I will draw it. I will show you the connections. İstemek is connected to sen. Gitmek is connected to ben. When this happens, when the subjects are different, we use the ma with possessives. Okay, that's why I didn't say mek this time. Yeah, the laser eyes are back. Or you can see the breakdown here. You can see these colors on how they relate to each other. We use the possessives, benim gitmem. And I hope the reason why we didn't use mek is clear. We didn't use mek this time because, not because it's the object, but because the subjects are different. There's ben and sen. You want my going, exactly. Or sen onun gitmesini istiyorsun. İstemek is connected to sen again. Actually, no, I will not delete it. I will not draw it. Sen onun gitmesini istiyorsun. İstemek, to want. Sen istiyorsun. Sen neyi istiyorsun? What do you want? Or what is it that you want? Onun gitmesi. Sen onun gitmesini istiyorsun. O bizim gitmemizi istiyor. He wants or she wants our going. As in, she wants us to go. Like even in the English sentence, you can see how we insert a pronoun. Instead of saying, I want to go, I am saying, I want you to go. This time, to go is related to you. I want you to go. Or you want me to go. Okay, is this part clear? I kind of feel like it's a bit too technical. The difference is a bit too technical, but I am trying to keep it simple. When you involve a different person, when you want them to do something instead of doing it yourself, we use the ma with possessives instead of mak. Senin gitmenini istiyorum. We don't repeat it. We don't repeat the part. Senin gitmeni is just good enough. Yeah, the şaşırdın istiyorsun. I was trying to use a different case here, so I don't know. Let's keep it consistent. Sen benim gitmemi istiyorsun. Sen onun gitmesine şaşırdın. So I don't want to use istemek in every sentence. I want to use different verbs. So let's just copy paste it here. Okay, so fix it. Does this work with orders like I want you to clean your room? It works with orders like that. Yes. Yes. We will see more examples, but it is used, it works with all the indirect orders, statements, like even like allowing someone to do something. I'm allowing you to go. Senin gitmene izin veriyorum. Okay, and now let's see these embedded clause, like the smaller part being the subject. In these examples, it was the object. That's why we included the accusative, dative, or ablative. But now you can also use them at the beginning, at the start, as the subject. Like, something made me sad. And what is it? The embedded clause is o and gitmek. So it becomes onun gitmesi beni üzdü. This part is more like I think in English they say her going made me sad, or the fact that she left made me sad. This part is like a sentence on its own, but you are using it as the subject in this main sentence. His or her going made me sad. Or the other example, like something made me mad. Kızmak or kızdırmak, to make someone mad. Beni kızdırdı. Beni ne kızdırdı? What is it that made me mad? Beni kızdıran nedir? Onun bağırması. The fact that she yelled or that she yelled made me mad. Or basically, literally, her yelling made me mad. Or her coming gave me hope. Onun gelmesi bana umut verdi. Okay, so I want to stop here again. I want to slow down here again. This is a bit complicated concept. So I want you to make your own examples. Use me with these possessive markers. Use them as the subject, as the object, or the subject. Try to make complicated or advanced forms like the fact that this happened, or that this happened, or her coming. So this is your turn. I kind of feel like this part is one of the most unique parts of Turkish, using this ma-sı, like he's coming, like you coming. Okay, Lucas, the first example is correct. And the second example is also correct. Yes, that is correct. You involved a different person. This time yazmak is related to o, istemek is related to ben. So ben yazmak istiyorum versus ben onun yazmasını istiyorum. The word for wine. No, şarap is wine as in the drink. To wine, şikayet etmek olabilir. But şikayet etmek is more like to complain. I don't know, I'm trying to think of colloquial alternatives such as mızmızlanmak, maybe? I will check with Trang. Wine. Yes, as I guessed, the mızmızlanmak is the first option on Trang. I will write it mızmızlanmak. But you know, mızmızlanmak is more like a small kid thing to do. Like you are playing games, the kid starts whining about losing, for example. Her friends or his friends will say, "Stop whining, let's keep playing. Mızmızlanmayı bırak, oynamaya devam et." Yes, perfect. That's correct. Ağlaması ve mızmızlanması gereksizdi. I wonder about the roots of this word, mızmız. Could it be like the onomatopoeia? Mızmız, the sound? Maybe. Yeah. So yeah, that's your example is perfect. Ağlaması ve mızmızlanması gereksizdi. And I will keep comparing mak to ma. So ağlamak ve mızmızlanmak gereksizdi is just personless. There's no person. Like crying and whining was unnecessary. But if I involve a different person, like her crying and whining was unnecessary. Okay, başka örnek var mı? Any other example? Mesela no, we don't need onun. Ağlaması ve mızmızlanması is good enough. Okay, Lucas, benim dersim you mean sorunsuz with R, sorunsuz. But even though it is technically correct, it's not using any infinitive. Sonsuzdu. But still, there's no infinitives, like there's no verbal noun. My lesson was endless. No, that doesn't help it either. Okay, I'm waiting for other people to type. Then I will move to, let me see. The delights of Turkish part, the interesting details of the difference between mak and ma. Okay, so golü atması maçın en vurgulu anıydı. Yeah, I'm not sure if vurgu is the best. Golü atması, I will say maçın en önemli, important anıydı. Or golü atması maçın en dikkat çeken, like drawing attention anıydı. Golü atması maçın en vurgulu anıydı. Onun anlaması beni şaşırttı. Şaşırttı. Şaşırdı versus şaşırttı is actually a different concept. I mean, it's a topic for a different lesson. It is the causatives. But when you use beni, you have to say şaşırttı. Like ben şaşırdım, o beni şaşırttı. Şaşırttı. Hı hı, doğru. Okay, so it seems like, I mean, from the examples, I can see that you got the functions of this ma, like ması, mesi, or mam, mem with possessives. Yeah, made someone surprised versus got surprised. Ben şaşırdım. I got surprised. Onun anlaması beni şaşırttı. Like his understanding or the fact that he understood made me surprised. Filmi izlememden kafamı karıştı. Sonra ne oldu? That doesn't work. I'm trying to think of how to fix it. Maybe you could say the movie confused me. Film kafamı karıştırdı. Film kafamı karıştırdı. Okay, so I think it's time to move to this